Welcome to the deep dive.
Good to be here.
We are diving deep into a stack of sources today that, well, they detail not one, but two simultaneous, really civilization-ending crises.
Yeah, it's the definition of a black swan event.
So imagine this. The agency that was created specifically to protect the world from these massive non-traditional threats, the Department of Military Sciences, the DMS, is suddenly just paralyzed.
By an internal political coup, no less.
And at that exact same moment, a massive global biological plot, which is only known as the Extinction Wave, is counting down to zero.
It's a terrifying race against time.
Yeah.
And the sources we have, I mean, they're fragments. We're talking highly classified internal comms, op reports, some personal notes from Captain Ledger.
And intercepted video and data.
Exactly. And they show these key players, Captain Ledger of Major Cortland fighting a shadow organization. Sure, but first they had to evade their own government.
Okay, so let's unpack this, because our mission today is complex. We really need to connect the dots between, well, a vice presidential power grab.
A power grab designed to seize the most powerful computer program ever built.
And then connect that to horrifying, decades-old Nazi eugenics research.
The hunting of genetically modified mythological creatures.
And a meticulously planned global genocide that came so close to succeeding. We're going to show you exactly how a handful of agents, operating totally outside the law without any support, got the intel they needed to stop it.
To stop humanity's largest ever mass murder attempt. This deep dive, it forces you to confront not just, the reality of biowarfare, but the ethical nightmare of science being weaponized to revive the darkest ideologies of the 20th century.
So let's start with that internal chaos, because without that political move, the DMS would have been fully operational. This whole plot, it might have been shut down weeks earlier.
The timing was surgical. Absolutely surgical. The U.S. president was undergoing bypass surgery.
Which means he's medically incapacitated, temporarily.
Right, and that automatically triggers the 25th Amendment. The vice president, who we know as Vice President Collins, becomes the acting commander-in-chief.
And Collins, he hates the DMS. He hates Mr. Church.
He has a deep resentment for the agency. So he sees this very brief window as his one and only shot to just dismantle it entirely.
And the pretext he used was, from a tactical standpoint, kind of brilliant, even though it was completely fabricated.
Oh, absolutely. He somehow convinced key cabinet members and the attorney general that Church was blackmailing the president.
Blackmailing him into giving the DMS this unprecedented level of autonomy.
And that narrative gave the whole operation a cloak of legality. The VP initiated what he called a national security mandate, started seizing DMS facilities, detaining staff.
And using the NSA to do it?
The NSA was the blunt instrument, yeah. So the public justification was all about reining in this rogue, unaccountable agency. But our sources are really clear on this. The true objective was much more specific.
He was mind reader.
It was always mind reader, neutralizing Church by seizing his most powerful asset.
So tell us more about mind reader. Why is this computer system so vital that the VP would risk a coup just to get his hands on it?
Well, the sources describe it as this: unparalleled achievement. It's not just an intelligence database. It's a proactive, intrusive, and virtually undetectable surveillance system.
Its whole purpose is to bypass any known digital security.
Any. Military-grade, commercial, whatever. Doesn't matter.
So it's more than just standard hacking. What's the secret sauce here?
The key detail is its ability to not just get into a hard drive, but to get out without leaving any digital footprint at all.
It's like a ghost.
It's ghosting, exactly. It uses, well, some analysts think it's a form of proprietary quantum entanglement, or maybe a series of incredibly rapid zero-day exploits. The point is, it operates at a speed that traditional security systems just can't even process.
So if a hard drive is connected to any network, Wi-Fi, hardline, anything, mind reader can get in, take the data.
And the forensics after the fact will show nothing. It's the ultimate counterintelligence weapon, but it's also the ultimate privacy violation machine.
And if the vice president gets his hands on that, he has instant, unchallengeable power over everyone. Every opponent, every plan, everything.
Which is exactly why Church ordered all field agents to go dark, to just vanish.
Yeah.
Captain Ledger, for instance, he's at a cemetery in Baltimore.
And he's suddenly confronted by NSA agents, led by a guy he knows, Agent John Andrews.
And Ledger's experience tells him immediately, this isn't local cops. This is a high-level, coordinated military action.
Yep.
He's cornered.
And Church's order comes down to all the team leaders.
Yeah, and it's absolute.
Yep.
Avoid capture. But more specifically, Church commands zero aggression.
Zero.
Because any use of force by a DMS agent, even in self-defense, would immediately be spun by the VP's office as proof. Proof that the agency is violent, it's rogue.
And it would be the final nail in the coffin, the justification for dismantling it for good.
So it creates this impossible bind. They're being hunted by their own government, but they are forbidden from fighting back.
Ledger's escape from that cemetery, it's a great little detail that just shows you his tactical mind under that kind of pressure.
Oh, absolutely. The sources say he's, pretending to cooperate with Andrews, and then suddenly he just spits a mouthful of water right into Andrews' eyes.
Blinds him just for a second.
Just long enough to do a perfect foot sweep, drop the agent, and then just disappear into the Baltimore traffic.
Yeah.
So it wasn't violent. It was pure evasion.
And it really shows how the DMS had to shift its entire focus overnight, from watching global threats to just running and hiding.
And the paralysis was immediate. The field offices were all hit at the same time. We know Church's number 2, Ann Sally, in Brooklyn. She was almost arrested.
Right at the DMS hangar.
An NSA team landed choppers, tried to forcibly detain her. She resisted, and the situation got messy. 2 NSA agents were injured.
So the VP wasn't just after the field guys, he was going for the whole command structure.
If Sally had been taken, the DMS's ability to communicate, even secretly, would have been crippled.
The fascinating part here is how the VP managed to hide his planning. He conducted this huge operation using only, non-trackable communications?
Cell phones, word of mouth.
So if Mind Reader is so powerful, why couldn't Chirp see this coming?
Well, that implies the VP knew about Mind Reader's blind spots. The system is designed to look for sophisticated digital communication, encrypted texts, network traffic.
Not burner phones and face-to-face meetings.
Exactly. It's a low-tech end run around a high-tech system, which suggests the VP had a leak, maybe from inside the DMS or maybe from whoever built Mind Reader in the first place.
So while Church is fighting this political war, trying to keep his team safe, he starts seeing signs of a much, much deeper conflict.
And this is it. This is the moment the 2 crises just slam into each other.
Right.
The Jigsaw team in Denver. Highly capable unit, ex-Delta Force leader. They go completely radio silent while they're investigating some kind of threat.
A tough team to just have vanish.
Very. And their disappearance while investigating a threat that Church later connects to Gunnar Heikel, that was the first sign that this whole internal coup was just perfectly timed misdirection.
A distraction.
A distraction for a larger, much darker operation being run by someone else entirely.
And that external conflict immediately takes us to some of the most, surreal evidence in these files. We're talking about a private, high-stakes hunt.
For mythological creatures.
Yeah, this is where political corruption just smashes right into bleeding-edge biology.
The first real clue came from Dr. Hugh, a brilliant DMS analyst. He intercepts this raw video feed. And at first, everyone just dismisses it. They think it's a deepfake or, footage from a video game.
It's a hunt in a jungle clearing somewhere. South America, probably.
Right. But their quarry, it's not a jaguar or a rhino.
It's a unicorn.
A snow white animal. Ledger's team notes describe it as, impossibly beautiful, single spiraled horn, just like in the myths. And the footage shows it being shot multiple times with high-powered rifles.
It goes down screaming.
And the hunters just move right in to field dress the carcass.
Okay, so what does a genetically engineered unicorn even imply? Why waste that kind of science on a trophy kill?
Well, it applies 2 terrifying things. First, the level of transgenics, the science of combining genes from different species, is way, way beyond anything in the public sphere. To create a large mammal like that, one that can survive in the wild, that requires insane funding and a complete disregard for ethics.
Okay, and the second thing?
The second thing is what Ledger immediately connected it to. Genetic trophy hunting. This wasn't research, this was pure ego. The super rich were paying millions of dollars to hunt unique, custom-designed animals that exist nowhere else.
It's science weaponized for fun.
Purely for leisure. And it proves that whoever is running this operation has unlimited resources and absolutely zero conscience.
So you have this clear, highly illegal, highly advanced biological operation happening, and then the political connection gets deeper when they run facial recognition on the hunters.
Right. One of them is identified as Harold S. Sunderland. Now, crucially, Harold is the brother of Senator J.K. Sunderland of Texas.
And Senator Sunderland is a big deal. He's a huge proponent of deregulated biotech legislation.
And perhaps most damningly, a very close friend and a financial backer of Vice President Collins.
And there it is. That's the bridge. That connects the coup here at home to this international biological threat.
The VP's key political ally has family involved in this. It means the political distraction was almost certainly meant to shield the very people benefiting from this illegal science.
But the other hunter they identified, that was the real alarm bell.
That was Gunnar Haeckel. Haeckel was a senior operative in the Cabal. He was believed to be dead.
He'd been autopsied after an operation carried out by the List.
Right. And for listeners who aren't familiar, the List was Church's old team, his predecessor unit, a small elite group that spent decades hunting down and neutralizing Cabal members.
And they thought they were successful.
They thought they'd dismantled the organization, taken out its leaders, including Haeckel. The fact that he's alive, hunting unicorns. It means the Cabal was never truly gone.
It just went deeper underground.
Deeper underground, and it kept its high-level infrastructure and all its resources.
And what exactly is the Cabal? For anyone who doesn't know the history, what are their goals?
The Cabal is basically an organization built around a radical global eugenics ideal that's rooted in Nazism. Their crimes they're colossal, global scale.
They funded both sides of genocidal conflicts.
To ensure maximum ethnic destruction. And worse, they had teams that would deliberately pollute water sources across Africa and Israel, specifically targeting communities they deemed, racially or genetically undesirable.
Spreading disease.
Crippling diseases. Their goal is radical depopulation and the genetic purification of humanity. It's a truly warped ideology.
So Haeckel is alive. He's involved in cutting-edge transgenics. It confirms the Cabal not only survive, but they are now using the most advanced biological science there is.
The kind of science that can literally create a unicorn.
To further their genocidal goals, the unicorn hunt wasn't a hobby. It was proof.
Proof that the Cabal was operational at the highest levels, and the survival is terrifying. The trail immediately led Church to suspect a link to the Jigsaw team's disappearance.
Because they went silent investigating Haeckel's old storage unit.
Ben Heinrich, at the Deep Iron Storage Facility in Denver. This strongly suggested that Haeckel's reappearance was tied to something he left behind, the source material for the Extinction Wave.
So Ledger mobilizes Echo Team for extraction. Okay, so Ledger, Top Sims, and Bunny, they get to this Deep Iron facility in Colorado. It's described as this enormous subterranean complex.
Yeah, multi-level. They store everything there, from classic cars to high-security archives. And they're looking for one specific unit, Ben Heinrich.
Containing 351 boxes of Haeckel's records.
The expectation was, maybe financial records, blueprints for a lab, something like that. Yeah. What they walked into was a full-scale firefight.
Inside the facility.
Inside these vast caverns, yeah. Ledger's team immediately runs into two separate hostile groups. First, the local DMS hub team, who were already in a fight. And second, a highly professional, extremely hostile Russian team.
The sources say these guys were Spetsnaz grade, elite level. This suggests the Cabal doesn't just exist, it commands military assets around the world.
It implies a bidding war, or maybe a partnership. The Cabal has always been known for playing different regimes against each other, and this Russian team was clearly sent to get those archives, or destroy them, before the DMS could.
The combat was ferocious.
Top Sims, who's a very experienced operator, he noted the extreme resilience of these attackers. He described them absorbing full magazines of 7.62 ammo without going down immediately.
That's more than standard body armor. That sounds like something else.
Oh, absolutely. Ledger and Sims speculated it was some kind of advanced body armor, maybe even a prototype exoskeleton designed to absorb kinetic energy. The sources say these guys moved heavily, but they just shrugged off hits that would drop a normal soldier.
So Ledger had to resort to primal tactics.
Brutally primal. He takes one guy out with a knife to the mouth to get around the armor. He watches another fall hundreds of feet down a stairwell and just get torn apart on impact. It was a lethal, desperate fight for those records.
So what was in Ben Heinrich that was so important? What were they fighting over?
The contents. They confirmed the historical link and the current threat. The 351 boxes, they didn't contain current intel. They were old paper records, microfilm.
And index cards.
Index cards smeared with old, dried blood samples. The notes were all meticulously written in German, dated from the 1940s.
These were the records from Auschwitz.
From the concentration camp experiments.
Oh.
Carried out by Dr. Joseph Mengele.
That's the real horror. This isn't just historical documents. This is the operational data of genocide.
It is. And Ledger's team is trying to translate and analyze this stuff while they're still clearing the facility. The key terminology was written right at the top of a lot of pages. Zwangstrauma.
German for forced trauma.
Right. And below that, the documentation was just clinical, horrific detail.
What specifically was this data measuring? What was the scientific goal behind all this?
The columns documented Geschwindigkeit, which is speed, Winkel, angle, and most critically, Druckenfund pro Quadratzahl PSI.
That's per square inch.
But it wasn't measuring force output. It was measuring the force applied and the human body's tolerance to it. And the data was categorized by the specific instruments of abuse.
Kitty James Schlager Club.
Peitsch, horsewhip, Faust fist, barfus, barefoot, and Gestifelt, booted foot.
So Mengele wasn't just torturing people, he was scientifically quantifying torture.
Exactly. As a means of population control, he was trying to determine the exact limits of physical endurance and, most critically, to expose racial and genetic vulnerabilities.
By measuring the exact PSI required to cause specific injuries across different groups.
He was trying to create a predictive statistical model of human weakness. The goal was to refine a eugenics program, providing the precise data needed for mass extermination methods that targeted specific, statistically weak populations.
And this is where the historical horror connects directly to the modern Extinction Wave plot.
Church confirmed it. The Cabal had preserved this massive database and, through modern science, weaponized it. Mengele had focused heavily on groups that historically married within limited bloodlines, like Ashkenazi Jews, because their genetic traits were more isolated.
More predictable.
More predictable. The modern Cabal took that data and used it to model custom-designed pathogens.
Like weaponizing diseases that are tied to specific genetic lines.
Precisely. They were focusing on weaponizing things like Tay-Sachs, which primarily affects specific genetic lines. The goal was to create a version of Tay-Sachs that wasn't inherited, but that could be given to someone via a virus or a bacteria.
Triggering that catastrophic neurological breakdown.
The paper records confirmed the intent. The microfiche and the blood samples, they provided the massive pre-mapped genetic database they needed for a successful, targeted global genocide. The Cabal had the scientific blueprint for a tailored plague.
Okay, so with Mengele's data recovered, the threat is no longer theoretical, it's imminent, it's globally coordinated. Church and mind reader immediately shift their focus to that phrase, Extinction Wave.
Right, which had been in those cryptic notes the team received. And mind reader searches confirmed the plot, a catastrophic plan to launch a major plague.
Primarily targeting non-whites in Africa.
Using viral or bacteriological agents tied to those genetic vulnerabilities from Mengele's work. The agents were designed to exploit the very weaknesses documented back in the 1940s.
And the urgency is ratcheted up by the discovery of a ticking clock.
The extinction clock. When this whole thing started, it stood at 99 hours and 44 minutes.
And this wasn't a dirty bomb. This was a logistical miracle of mass distribution. The delivery mechanism was terrifying in how subtle and massive it was.
It all centered on a legitimate-looking water bottling operation.
The McNeil Gunderson water bottling plant in Asheville, North Carolina.
One of the largest bottling facilities in the southern U.S., capable of huge production. And the CEO, Otto Wirths, he was a senior Cabal operative. He put the production manager on his payroll, guaranteeing operational secrecy.
How did they taint the water without anyone noticing? Without alerting quality control or any of the employees?
Wirths used the cover of quality control advisors and new purification protocols. For 4 months, these advisors secretly introduced unknown additives, the dormant biological agents, into the purified water.
And the scale is just, it's staggering.
1.7 million bottles per day. The agent was probably designed to be stable in water and only activate upon ingestion or maybe environmental exposure.
Right, to prevent an accident at the plant itself.
Exactly. And the distribution was global, disguised as a huge promotional campaign.
A giveaway.
Correct. That tainted water was shipped worldwide under all these legit-sounding brand names: Global Gulp, Goodwater Soothe, Eco Splash. The whole plot was built around this aggressive global ad blitz leading up to a September 1st launch date.
So they were using existing trusted infrastructure.
Legitimate global shipping and ad companies, completely unaware they were distributing a bioweapon. It was ingenious.
And the operational hub for this whole plot, it had to be outside U.S. jurisdiction. The sources point to the Dragon Factory.
The Dragon Factory, also called the Hive, on Dogfish Cay in the Bahamas. The location was critical. Immediate access to major shipping routes for the water, but safely outside U.S. federal authority.
And the facility itself was a fortress.
A masterpiece of clandestine engineering, built directly into volcanic bedrock, so it was virtually impervious to external attack or aerial surveillance.
And the architect of all of this, the true mastermind, was Cyrus Jacoby. This is where it all takes a terrifying science fiction turn.
The evidence strongly suggests, based on physical identifiers and historical patterns, that Jacoby is actually Dr. Joseph Mengele.
The angel of death of Auschwitz, still alive.
decades after he supposedly died. And he achieved this through a radical experimental form of gene therapy.
Let's talk about that, this concept of biological immortality. If Mind Reader confirmed he survived, what was the mechanism?
The sources suggest he achieved a form of virtual immortality through intensive, cutting-edge gene therapy. This isn't just about, preventing wrinkles. Analysts believe it focused on radical telomere manipulation.
The caps on our chromosomes that shorten as we age.
Right. By genetically ensuring continuous, flawless cellular regeneration, Jacobi essentially just kept resetting his biological clock, extending his lifespan indefinitely. He and his inner circle, they called themselves young gods.
And his historical crimes are just as vast. He wasn't just planning this one event.
No. The DMS evidence indicated Jacobi was not only the architect of the Extinction Wave, but was also implicated in starting the worldwide AIDS epidemic and the new tuberculosis plague in Africa.
Yeah.
He was testing his theories of targeted destruction on a global scale over and over again.
And the Hive, this facility on Dogfish Cay, wasn't just a lab. It was a compound full of victims. Tell us about the new men.
The Hive contained hundreds of genetically engineered humans. They were tragically referred to as the new men. Genetically modified for specific traits: short, immense muscle density, red hair, long skulls, sloping foreheads.
They were used as slave labor.
Slave labor, facility guards, and, horrifyingly, as test subjects for the abuse experiments from the modernized Mengele archives. They represented the complete dehumanization that the Cabal's ideology required.
And the only reason the DMS had any lead on this at all was because of an incredible act of courage from inside that facility.
That's the story of Sam. We're 82. He's the teenage boy raised in the Hive, constantly exposed to the violence and torture. He was terrified, knew he was being groomed for violence.
And he's later identified as a clone.
A clone of Cyrus Jacobi.
Yeah.
Which means he's a genetic copy of Joseph Mengele, raised specifically by Otto Werths to become a hardened killer for the Cabal.
And yet, he chose to send the warning. How does he overcome that? The genetics, the conditioning?
Sam managed to sneak into the comms room at incredible personal risk. He sent the first warning videos, a map of the facility, and these coded notes that ultimately identified Jacobi and pinpointed that September 1st launch date.
So it's nature versus nurture.
Well, the forensic therapist who studied his case concluded that you have to include a third element: choice. Sam's internal conflict, his psychological burden, it drove him to risk everything. He defied his genetic blueprint and his environment, proving that even a person engineered for evil can still choose to be a hero.
So with the location confirmed and the extinction clock just ticking down, we're in the final hours now, the DMS launches this desperate, clandestine operation.
Right. Major Cortland Grace, she deploys via submarine, the USS New Mexico, leading Alpha Team. And she's followed closely by Captain Ledger and Echo Team, coming in by air.
And this was a military op on a knife's edge. We have the notes of that last painful exchange between Ledger and Grace.
A brief radio conversation. They acknowledge their love, their relationship, but immediately recognize that personal feelings are secondary. Grace's final confirmation was just stark. The mission comes first.
They knew the odds of both of them surviving were incredibly low.
Incredibly low. And they deployed into what was essentially a biological warfare test ground. Echo Team, as soon as they land, they run into the facility's engineered defenses.
Which are non-normal.
They are biological abominations created at the Dragon Factory. The first thing they encounter are the scorpion dogs.
The scorpion dogs.
Massive, bull mastiff-sized creatures, but much larger, described as having the mass and speed of a small car. They were engineered with heavy armor plating along their backs, twisted, powerful faces, and this grotesque feature.
The scorpion tail.
A segmented scorpion tail, curling over its back, dripping a hot, fast-acting venom. They hunted in pairs and could absorb an immense amount of small arms fire because of that armor.
And the human defenses were just as terrifying.
The berserkers. These are the genetically modified new men used as elite guards. Short, extremely powerful, and they display this terrifying resilience to pain.
The sources say they were laughing through attacks.
Capable of ripping off limbs and possessing a pain tolerance that made normal tactics useless. They were genetically optimized killing machines. It made the assault agonizingly slow.
And meanwhile, DMS intelligence confirms that the professional hit team that's been hunting the old list members, they're on the island too.
The leader of that hit team was identified as Konrad Vader. Vader is a clone of Hans Ulrich Rudel,
the most decorated Nazi pilot of World War II, a legend among killers.
So the Cabal hadn't just cloned their mastermind, Mengele, they cloned their tactical executioner. Vader was confirmed to be the Dragon Factory, serving as Jacoby's operational advisor.
So the whole plot converges in the final moments, in Hecate's office.
Right. Hecate was Jacoby's chief of security, his lead bioengineer. She's another clone, though the sources don't specify who, and she's helping Jacoby and Otto Worths activate the trigger.
The tension is immediate. Grace Cortland tracks them to that office, where they're using a lead-shielded laptop to start the launch sequence with a flash drive.
She bursts in. Her first action is to shoot the laptop, hoping to destroy it.
But it's protected.
The bullet ricochets off the lead shielding. It does catch Jacoby in the bicep, though, wounding him. Then Otto Worths, the CEO, he lunges for the keyboard.
Grace shoots him twice, kills him instantly.
But then Hecate attacks. She throws herself at Grace with this animalistic intensity, bites her shoulder hard enough to break the skin.
Grace hits her with her pistol.
But Hecate still delivers this devastating backhand, collapses Grace onto the floor.
And Ledger arrives seconds later. He sees all of this unfolding.
He enters the room, immediately opens fire, kills Hecate with a direct headshot, then shoots Cyrus Jacoby in the stomach. Jacoby collapses, but because of his gene therapy, he's still alive, just writhing on the floor.
But the fight isn't over. The real assassin, Conrad Vader, the Rudel clone,
He emerges from a closet. He delivers the fatal shot to Grace.
Ledger returns fire immediately.
He wounds the clone assassin, but Vader, he knows the facility. He exploits the chaos and escapes through a trapdoor before Ledger can finish him.
The final moments are just. They're the definition of a sacrifice that saved the world.
Grace is fatally wounded. She recognizes the seconds ticking by. With her last breaths, she confirms that the blood-smeared flash drive has the cancel code. She tasks Ledger with getting it.
And Ledger, he's severely wounded himself.
He manages to collapse her body into a chair, he grabs the flash drive, and he gets out of that room seconds before the berserkers breach the door and just swarm the area.
He escapes, transmits the cancel code details over the radio, barely conscious.
And that transmission stopped the extinction wave. The clock was stopped with 32 hours and 52 minutes still remaining. The retrieval of that small, blood-smeared drive, bought at the highest possible price, was the single action that prevented a global genocide.
The physical and emotional cost for the team was just immediate and immense. Ledger barely survived the extraction. The list of his injuries it's staggering.
Cracked cheekbone, 5 broken ribs, a torn ligament and fracture in his ankle, hairline fracture of the jaw, and a skull fracture. That resulted in a subdural hematoma, so he needed emergency surgery just to be stabilized.
And his teammate, Top Sims, was also gravely injured.
Yeah, he faces a very long recovery, and there's significant doubt he'll ever return to active fieldwork. So the victories was total, but the cost for the survivors was nearly fatal.
And despite saving billions of lives, Church's first move is to control the narrative, to make sure the DMS's existence stays a secret.
It's a strategic masterstroke. Major Cortland is publicly hailed as this beautiful, heroic government agent who single-handedly stopped the Extinction Wave plot.
And Church's PR team, his mind reader assets, they scrub every database. They erase any mention of the DMS, of Ledger's team, of Church's involvement.
Everything.
So what's the motivation there? Why keep the DMS in the shadows after a success like that?
2 reasons. First, it allows the agency to keep its operational freedom and clandestine power. If the world knew the DMS existed and had just saved humanity, they'd immediately face public scrutiny, legal challenges, budget fights.
And the second reason?
By making the threat seem isolated and the victory solely Grace's, they ensured that the government officials, specifically Vice President Collins, who tried to dismantle them, would never dare challenge them again. They won the war on 2 fronts: external annihilation and internal political destruction.
Let's talk about justice. The loose ends. Cyrus Jacoby, the architect of all this, he survived his gunshot wounds because of that gene therapy.
He is, for all intents and purposes, virtually immortal. His cell structure resists trauma far better than a normal human's. He was stabilized, and the plan is to put him on trial, not execute him.
And Ledger's reaction to that is pure hatred.
He says Jacoby should be put on display, in a zoo, in a freak show. It reflects this deep moral outrage that killing him would just give him the martyrdom he probably wants. Keeping him alive forces him to confront his own horror.
And the assassin, Conrad Vader, the Rudel clone, he's still out there.
Correct. Vader escaped Dogfish K. He's one of 4 known clones of the Nazi pilot. The investigation is now global, trying to track him and the other 3 who are operational assassins scattered around the world.
And what about the political players? The Sunderlands, the VP?
Harold Sunderland, the unicorn hunter, was arrested in Sao Paulo. His brother, Senator J.P. Sunderland, died of a massive coronary before he could be apprehended, right as a federal warrant was being issued for his ties to the Cabal.
And Vice President Collins?
He dodged the bullet. The attempted dismantling of the DMS never hit the press. He was publicly sidelined, spends a lot of time out of Washington. His power base was completely eroded, and the DMS kept its autonomy.
The sources really make it clear that the horror of the science involved eugenics, transgenics, cloning. It was almost overwhelming.
But the connection was undeniable. It confirmed the Cabal was still using the most advanced modern science to perpetuate the darkest, most murderous ideologies of the last century. They took scientific progress, and they aimed it wholly at global destruction, using Mengel's data as their blueprint.
And that brings us to the end of this terrifying deep dive into the Shadow War. #tag outro. So what we have seen documented in these files is it's unprecedented. The entire world was saved because a deeply traumatized, politically abandoned DMS team reacted instantly to a simultaneous internal coup and an external ticking clock.
And they succeeded because they relied heavily on the bravery of a teenage boy, a genetic clone of history's most notorious war criminal, who chose to be a hero rather than the monster he was engineered to be.
The information we've uncovered confirms the incredible, horrifying potential of genetic science when it's used without any ethical boundaries. From creating armored, venomous scorpion dogs and literal unicorns for trophy hunts,
To the targeted weaponization of genetic diseases like Tay-Sachs, using data quantified in Auschwitz decades ago.
the Cabal successfully engineered biological immortality for its mastermind. Cyrus Jacoby's survival proves it, and they sought to revive historical killers by cloning figures like Hans Ulrich Rudel to be their assassins.
They sought to guarantee the continuation of evil through genetics.
Which raises a profound question that just hangs over our future. If genetic science can achieve forms of biological immortality and can revive the darkest elements of history in new, stronger bodies, creating this direct, living link between the worst atrocities of the 1940s and the tech of today, can humanity ever truly defeat evil?
Or does it just find new, technologically advanced ways to clone itself and project itself into the future? It's a terrifying thought to mull as we consider the true cost of stopping the extinction wave.